This is the Pukhtar Monastery in Zanskar, one of the most remote and spectacular monasteries in the world. Perched on a cliff high above the Sarabchu River, the monastery is a stunning tribute to the ingenuity of the monks who built it hundreds of years ago. This resourcefulness of the people of Ladakh and Zanskar to improvise and use their local environment to their advantage can be seen even today amidst the rapid modernization that is taking place in the region. Numerous new roads are being built in Ladakh over the last few years, connecting many remote villages to the outside world. But the Pukhtar Monastery still remains isolated and is reachable only by a narrow hiking trail cut across steep mountain sides high above the Sarabchu River. This narrow trail makes it difficult for the monks to transport items to the monastery, especially heavy items that they require for maintenance and repair works at the monastery. So the monks wait until winter for the Sarabchu River to freeze and use wooden sledges to effortlessly transport heavy items on the frozen river. Moving day is a fun day at the monastery. The monks have a lot of fun on the ice, giving joy rides to each other in between doing all the hard work of transporting the heavy items on the sledges. The frozen river, or the Chadar, is the winter lifeline of Zanskar. The locals take advantage of it to travel in and out of Zanskar and also to ferry loads that would otherwise be very hard to transport in the summer months. "25 kilometers beyond Pukhtar, deeper inside the Sarabchu River Valley, is Shade, one of the most unique and isolated villages in all of Ladakh and Zanskar. The villagers of Shade face a similar problem as the monks of Pukhtar. How do they transport heavy items to their village on the steep and narrow trails that connect their village to the outside world? And their solution is to use Yaks. Yaks are the true backbone of these remote mountain communities. They are used to assist in tasks that are beyond the physical means of the villagers. Tasks from ploughing the barley fields at the beginning of summer to threshing the harvested barley at the end of summer. One big job for the Yaks in Shade is to transport wood to the village. Winters are harsh in Zanskar and the villagers need to stock up on as much wood as possible to survive the cold winter months. So 1 week Before the start of their new year, the villagers gather together to go to the woodlands outside Shade and collect wood from the willow trees there. They spend the entire day cutting wood and loading them up onto their yaks to bring them back to the village in the evening. The yaks can carry as much wood as 4 to 5 people, and with their help, the villagers soon create a sufficient stockpile of firewood needed for the winter. And now they can focus their energies on the upcoming New Year Losar celebrations. One of the biggest challenges that remote villages like Shade face is getting medical help for any illness or injuries to their people and to their animals. With very little human activity in the area, the region around Shade is a haven for wildlife. It is home to huge herds of ibex and blue sheep, which in turn attract predators such as wolves and snow leopards. Wolves are numerous in the region and they frequently attack and kill the domestic animals of the villagers. With no way to get outside help, the villagers have to treat their injured animals themselves. Large open wounds created by wolf bites are treated by cauterizing the wound with a hot iron. Cauterization essentially melts and seals the tissues and blood vessels surrounding the wound. It stops the bleeding and helps prevent any infections from the wound spreading to the rest of the body. This ancient technique is quite effective in treating injured animals and gives them a fighting chance to survive and live for another day in this harsh and wonderful mountains of Zanskar. Yaks are truly indispensable to these Himalayan communities. While the male yaks help the villagers with their heavy chores, the female demos provide vital daily nutrition to the villagers in the form of their milk and the various dairy products that the villagers can create from the milk, such as curd, butter, and cheese. Churning butter is hard work, especially in the remote villages without access to electricity. The villagers have to do it by hand, and it takes them around 2 hours to churn 20 liters of buttermilk into butter. However, in some villages such as Ralakung, the villagers have come up with an ingenious way to harness the power of water to churn butter. Water from the nearby stream is diverted into small channels that force the water towards a wooden turbine at the base of the mill. The force of the water turns the turbine, which in turn turns a spindle that slowly churns the buttermilk into butter. These ingenious butter churning mills are very rare and could only be found in a handful of villages all across Ladakh and Zanskar. There is another type of water mill called the Rantak that is more common across Ladakh. These mills are used to grind sampa, which is the roasted barley flour that is the primary source of sustenance for the people of Ladakh and Zanskar. The runtegs operate under the same principle as the butter churning mills. Water is forced through a narrow channel at a steep angle towards a turbine that rotates a grinding stone. Grains are fed slowly from a big funnel into a hole in the upper grinding stone. The grains pass through the gap between the stones, getting crushed along the way and fall out as a fine flour that is then collected by the villagers. These runtegs can grind around 200 kilograms of grains every day purely using the power of water. While the big runtegs are a common sight across the agricultural villages of Ladakh, there is a different type of flour mill used by the nomadic communities of Ladakh. The Changpas are a tribe of nomadic shepherds who migrate constantly across the high altitude plains of Ladakh in search of grazing lands for their animals. Being constantly on the move means that the Changpas do not have access to runtegs to grind their barley. Instead, they use portable hand mills to grind small quantities of sampa as and when the need arises. These hand and water powered mills are a perfect example of the ingenuity of the Ladakhi people to come up with simple practical solutions to their day-to-day problems using the resources available to them locally. This resilience and resourcefulness of the Ladakhi people needs to be celebrated as it shows how beautiful a simple life lived in harmony with nature can be.